Well, there's no doubt that there are differences in achievement levels in schools, not just in LAUSD, but across the country, and that much of the time you can actually guess what the achievement levels of schools are going to be based on the socioeconomic status of the community around it. I very strongly believe that this is not a representation of the abilities of the students in that school or the community, but rather other factors that exist. And so, for example, we need to make sure that we have high-quality educators in every school across the city, but we also need to make sure that schools are freed up from some of the policies that can negatively impact them. For example, there is a policy that we at Students First fight against called last in, first out. And that is a policy that says in the time of layoffs, you must lay off the most junior teacher first. And this is system-wide. The reason why this is a problem for under-resourced schools and some of the lowest performing schools, lowest resource schools, is that they tend to have the largest number of new teachers. So when the district has a budget cut, as an example, and you have a school in the inner city that may be poor performing, that has 50% of their teachers that are new teachers, those 50% of the teachers actually get laid off. You may have higher performing schools across town that have very stable staffs, and they could be untouched by the budget cuts. That's an example of how a policy has a disproportionately negative impact on the lower performing and therefore lower resource schools, and we've got to be able to change that to try to level the playing field for kids.
Well, I'd encourage you to dig just a little deeper, because what you'll find, even in LA, is that there are schools within the poorest communities that are performing on par with or exceeding nearby suburbs. So the question really is not about the zip code, but the school. See, we know that great schools are the great equalizer, and great schools are found everywhere in this country, from the poorest to the wealthiest communities. And what we've seen in all the schools is that they operate virtually the same way. They have some longer day or school year. They have teachers who have multiple responsibilities, not just teaching. They coach, they advise. We see that they have a visionary leader. We see that they have clarity of vision for the school and mission. We see that they come together as a family. They will even refer to the school as a family. And they create opportunities for children. But it begins with this. It begins with the fact that every single school that I've ever visited or read about that is successful believes every single child in there has the capacity to learn, and that it's the school's responsibility to teach them. That's what we're certified and trained to do. That's what the parents expect us to do when they wake their child up and push them out the house. That's what the children expect when we get there. There is no excuse. The best schools are the best schools because they believe in kids.